Welcome to High Anxiety. I am Brandon, and I am so excited. I have my Ultra Magnus, and I'm a sucker for Ultra Magnus. He is probably my favorite Gen 1 Transformer. I think action figure-wise, he was actually the first Transformer I ever asked for as a child and got. And so to have a more movie-accurate version, the last Ultra Magnus that was put out in the early Siege line, is based on a Cybertronian design. This is what would be his Earth mode from the Generation 1 film. They've taken some liberties with it, obviously, but I am very excited to unbox it, despite the glaring problems that this figure has and is known for. But the other thing I'm really excited for is I'm going to be installing an upgrade kit. So this is the DNA Designs. So this is the DNA Designs DK14K upgrade kit for what was originally, this kit was designed for the War for Cybertron, Optimus Prime, and Ultra Magnus figures that were done in the Siege line. And they've done a couple updates for it, but for the Kingdom line, they've added the K to the end for K for Kingdom. And this upgrade kit, I will be adding on to this to make him more scaling. This is a more scaling accurate upgrade kit. It's a simple one. It'll be my first upgrade kit that I'm installing. And I'm very excited for it, and going to see just how difficult it may be. So, here we go. Untie, by the way. In case you were thinking Brandon had an awful accident and is completely mutilated and looks like a completely different human being. Untie. Brandon is disposed of. For now. Till the end of the body. Alrighty then. Look at that. Look at that. He's a beauty. He's a beaut. He's a beautiful baby boy. Anything crazy in the instructions? No. Let's check and see if he came with some of these come with trading cards. Yeah, these don't. So this is part of their leader class line. Leader class is this scale of figures. It's going to be a lot of ties to cut. Not tie, but a tie. Like you tie a tie, but not a tie. Like a tie. When you tie something down. Not a tie. Like who eats your food. Alright. Let's get you out of here, bubby. One thing I really like about the casing is it's based on, for the Kingdom design, they've gone with the golden disc motif. Which is that symbol right there for the golden disc that was used in Beast Wars. So the story in Beast Wars was the golden disc was an artifact sent from Earth. It's the same golden disc that Carl Sagan helped send into space with all that information on it in case they ever meet aliens. Well, in the original Beast Wars storyline, Megatron, G1 Megatron, had sent information on the disc back in time. Sorry. He sent information on the disc for people to find in the future, for the Decepticons of the future, which were the Predacons, to use the disc to travel back in time and win the war for the Decepticons. And the Kingdom line is based off of that story. It's the G1 and the Beast Wars eras combined. And they did a Netflix series that's part of the War for Cybertron trilogy that they did. So there's a Netflix series for each of them, Siege and Earthrise. Which one's left? Okay. Got junk in his trunk. He's out and about. It's looking slick. How are we feeling there, Ultra Magnus? whom in the movie was voiced by the legendary Robert Stack, whose voice you would recognize from Unsolved Mysteries. And that's when I knew I would be done watching TV for the night, because Unsolved Mysteries would come on the weekend. And the sound of his voice would scare the crap out of me as a child. And yeah, that's when I knew I was done with TV for the weekend. Let's get his gun out of there. And he's got his shoulder missiles. Okay. So the reason for the upgrade kit is the figures that they released in the leader class for Ultra Magnus and Optimus Prime are notoriously short. Those Optimus and Ultra Magnus are supposed to be very tall figures. And the scale that they did for the War for Cybertron trilogy, they're just way too short. And it just doesn't make sense that Ultra Magnus and Optimus would be about the same height as, let's say, Soundwave. So, good ratchet joints. That's a good sound. I love to hear ratchet joints on my figures. Good articulation at the knee. Means you can get some cool battle poses out of him. He's got his famous smokestacks. And one of the things I don't care for is just how open that is on the side. I hate how hollow a lot of the figures are getting. It's maybe better see that here. Like, just look how hollow the figures are on the inside with a lot of the parts. And I think that's one big problem that the Transformer line has been having for a while is, as I'm assuming they're trying to save money on plastic. So I assume as they're trying to save money on plastic and save costs, it seems a lot of the plastics on the figures are just getting thinner and thinner and more hollow. And that kind of sucks. And it also sucks because we're having to depend on companies like DNA Design to create what they call upgrade kits, which are really just fixes. Like, they fix a problem. Okay, so let's get him. He doesn't have much, so he's got wiggle there, so I guess like this is supposed to be his shoulder, and so the stack, like, it wouldn't move at all. But you know, in the cartoon it was a little more in the cartoon you could kind of move the whole arm at the shoulder. So here you just have this kind of snow angel level movement, so that kind of sucks. Other than that, I mean, I actually do like a majority of his design. Is there a way to clip the chest piece down? Yes, so there are parts on the front to snap that in. Okay, so all in all, just from the basic design, I really enjoy it. I love his robot mode. He's actually, it's not bad. Normally, you get a lot of figures where the backside of the figures are usually a lot more hollow or a lot more really ugly kibble on it. Maybe the back of the legs could have been a little more filled in. That would have been nice. But all in all, the back of the character is nowhere near as bad as I've seen in the past. So, no real complaints there. Let's see if we can get a good battle pose going on him. I'm gonna do a squat. The thing is, with how short he is when he does a squat, it just makes him look like a short stack. But not the most posable, but honestly, yeah, like I said, I've seen a lot worse. I mean, you can get some okay poses out of that with how short his legs are. I think it's going to look a lot better with the longer legs. I feel like it's going to give him more. It's going to make it look like he's got more movement to him, if that makes any sense. So, a lot of people don't realize is Ultra Magnus this is just body armor. on him. Underneath there is another figure, which since the introduction of the character, most of the time, what is underneath the armor is just a white Optimus Prime, like just without the normal Optimus Prime colors. So let's take off the body armor. I'll take that one off. Okay. Just kind of slides outward. Now he's shoulderless. Look at that. Yeah, guy. Look at these dinky little smokestacks. That's one thing I really don't like. Optimus and Ultra Magnus in their base forms had, you know, large metal smokestacks on the pipes. Smokestack pipes on the shoulders, and they went with a really dinky, just molded design. I mean, if they had just thrown some chrome paint on it, even just if they had just thrown chrome paint on it alone, that honestly, I think that would have been better. So let's take the gauntlets off. Somebody's been skipping arm day at the gym. What's up, B? Just fighting with a particularly angry piece.
Happens all the time.
Oh my god, does it? Go, go, go! Slide, slide. The thing is, if you don't do it, it looks like he's got a huge ass. So I want to slide it up, but it's like, nah, bruh, nah, bruh. Oh, you also got to flip down the cod piece, flip it around, pop it back up. And you've got his waist. I just know when this does go, I'm gonna like pinch my finger in the plastic, and that hurts every time.
I stabbed myself today with a knife.
Every time. God, I'm just terrified. I'm just gonna snap a piece off, you know? Oh, God, I completely missed a very obvious step. Okay, so once you do that, you have to slide his whole chest forward. And then that releases his butt. And then you can slide his butt up. Look at that. Butt. Back. Butt. Back. Baby got back butt. Then you slide his chest back. Lower the arms. Oh, right. Pop the shoulder. Yeah, take the shoulders back like that so you can slide that forward and pop his head out. And you are left with a very pale Optimus Prime underneath all that armor. One of the in-universe stories for these characters is Ultra Magnus is usually Optimus's brother, which is why they look the same. They've done that with some stories. And the part that makes him look different is just an armor shell that also forms his trailer. So we've got an Optimus Prime. Give him his gun. You have almost the exact same posability that you have with Ultra Magnus. You got the same waist swivel. You've got the same range with the legs. I like that ratchet. He can do the splits for the most part. So that's always nice. So pretty much any pose you can pull off with Ultra Magnus, you can pull off with his base non-armored form. Oh, also, to give him stabilization, you pop the base of the feet out. So now you can pose him without him worrying about him falling backwards. I like him. I have always been partial to the white design Optimus look, especially with the blue mouth and the red eyes. I've always been partial to it, but I think it's part of the fact that I had the original one as a kid, and I've always enjoyed Ultra Magnus as a figure. So I guess I've just been a sucker for that. So the difference is with the Kingdom design, it's supposed to be his Earth-based form, so he has a more Earth box truck form, and you can see the bottom half of that front of that truck is right here. So, you know, basic Earth form. He doesn't have, a lot of them tend to have spots for Matrix, but with this figure and with the Optimus, they didn't do a Matrix form, which is fine. I'm fine with that. I think the other reason, one thing I really like about it is it makes the Autobot symbol on him pop so much more with being white like this, being this pale look. I wouldn't have minded if they had included a secondary gun for him to use in his base form, like a smaller gun, but I mean, that's easy to pull off. There's so many other loose Transformer guns that fit the same peg size. That's not really a problem to use. So now I'm going to go for his vehicle form before we try the upgrade. And sadly, the vehicle form is where this figure really falls flat. So right off the bat, you're going to see one of the first glaring problems is Ultra Magnus suffers from visible fist syndrome. In robot mode, he does not have any kind of arm piece where this opens up and the fist folds into like a lot of figures. I don't know why they couldn't have gone with that. I don't think it would have added that much trouble. But in his vehicle mode, he literally just has fists sticking out behind him. And you would think, well, in a full vehicle mode, maybe something will cover it up. Nope. We are not that lucky. Oh. This is vehicle truck, just the truck mode for him without his trailer. That looks awful. That looks terrible. Like, look at these visible fists. There is no way to hide that. There's no way to make that look less like a robot. It's bad enough that the feet, like if they had it where the feet folded down, or if the legs slid together closer to form a more, like you didn't just have that big gap down the middle, but from the front, pretty good truck. Turn them around. That is visibly a robot sitting there. It looks like a robot just disappointed, just hiding his face, and he's disappointed, and he's not going to come out of his shell. Like that's how they made him look in that form, and I can't stand it. With any kind of with hip swivel, you do tend to get a big gap, like right there. So it almost makes him look like a Canadian truck, like he's going to talk to you through that gap. But honestly, I can forgive that. I can practically just stop noticing that at one point in comparison to everything else. Also, because the way the arms fold, the smokestacks sit on the inside, which with Optimus Prime, the smokestacks are always on the outside of the shoulders. So he's got the two smokestacks, but they're right there in the middle, these little dinky little smokestacks. And just nothing about that looks like a cool truck to me. It's just front, truck, back, sad robot. There's even like, because there's ankle swivel with them, you kind of gotta, they could have done something, like just engineered the feet a little differently, but the feet don't even sit evenly. Like if you take a look from the back, the feet are at an angle, and you can swivel them on the ankle, but it doesn't change the angle that they're at in terms of at the top of them. So it gives them, there's a slight triangle, upside down triangle look to it that just makes them look, they're feet. They're friggin' feet. These are feet. And yeah, I don't like that. In terms of wheels, he's got them. He barely uses them. The back wheels kind of go, but the front wheels, when it comes to actual driving, and I don't know if it's just this table, But I feel like with this table, I should be able to see those front wheels move, and the front wheels aren't doing anything. These front wheels just don't want to move. The back wheels, you see the back wheels, they're going great. Front wheels, not so much. So we've got that. Now let's assemble his trailer. That is one cool thing about the design is because of the accordion like folding. That was it the whole time. Okay. Put that back, cut that part. Okay, so now we'll proceed to turning his trailer into his armor. One really cool thing with the way they folded the armor around the leg, that pops out, and it's an accordion like folding setup. So all of that material was just there on the foot. And I think that part's pretty cool. Do that in here. Pop that out, pop that out. Now you have the world's biggest Jenko jeans. No one, unless you are our age, is actually going to understand that reference, and that's fair. That's fair. So that U-clip here is going to line up with that peg right there between the legs. So slide that on. And now you've got what it will use to connect the rest of the trailer to this unit. The trailer leg parts. And that is going to clip onto this. Now there is these snaps here. Lines up with these pegs here on the leg. And there's a couple of pegs where the shoulders connect that connect to the inner walls here on the trailer. So then you're left with what looks like an actual trailer on the back of it. And this is where this will come in. Fold. With the ones on the shoulder connected still, you actually have to fold out on the front. You can disconnect the ones on the sides of the legs because we'll need to have them. Then this whole thing just gets turned upside down. That becomes the top of the trailer. So essentially it will sit, flip it around this way. This is going to sit essentially on the trailer like that. Now in the Earthrise one, this was a lot closer. And this would sit here, which is why there's this gap here. It sits here on with the Kingdom version, which is essentially what would have been his Earthrise version. They pushed those back a lot farther, and I'm honestly not sure why. And it creates the worst part of this figure. So to make this actually sit on the smokestacks properly, it even has the clip on it to connect to the back of the spine where the butt slid up. This is really the way it was supposed to be. It makes them a lot smaller of a truck, but this looks way better because it covers up all the flaws, almost all the flaws on the front of the truck. There's just no way to make that clip. And I think there was a way to do it if they had just remolded these legs a different way, but they didn't. They didn't. I think there was a way to do it. Maybe once we get a 3D printer, we can remodel that ourselves, possibly. I don't know. Yeah, if we do it that way, you lose a good amount of the bulk on the inside of the trailer that fills in some of that area here. Yeah, it just doesn't work out. The way they re-engineered it, the way they just made even just subtle changes somehow completely changed the way this figure works. Those clips, if those clips were up here, this could work. But they put them here, and that makes the whole truck have to sit farther back. Thanks, Hasbro. All right, let's try the Gauntlet Fix. So the way I've seen it, you fold the gauntlet open, and the inner peg is supposed to fit into the fist. So that inside peg is supposed to then slide where the fist is, and then you just close the whole thing up around it, and it creates just the illusion of something there. And I mean, obviously it visibly hides the fists, which is the most egregious aspect of this figure. Just unacceptable level of design there. That's why this is definitely going to be a So once you do this, you get kind of a, it is filled in a bit more. So it does hide the fists a bit. It still leaves this area open, which I'm not crazy about, but at least the fists aren't visible. It looks like a more cohesive truck unit in this shape. I still don't like that this, it would just, if that could have been closer or lined up better, I don't know. But because it's so far back, this opening gap here just, it looks like it's just not being used properly. And I don't know why they did it that way. Throw the gun on. Throw the shoulder cannons back on. And what we are left with is a slightly better truck mode. Look at that. That is an improvement. Is it a massive improvement? No, but it works better. This works better. This is something I can live with. But now that we've done all that work, let's do more work. And tear it all back apart.